All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is structuring a Canvas course, and we talked about modules a little bit on Friday. Today we're going to talk about all of the other content we can put in modules, because the only thing we worked on adding to modules on Friday was discussions, assignments, and quizzes. But there's a lot of other things that you can put in there, so we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to go back over with you how we lock modules, and then how we can also set those prerequisites and requirements so that students are only getting to the stuff we want them to get to when they're ready. Okay, and we're kind of giving them that path. So let's talk about sequencing that content. So I'm going to go into one of my courses. Now here's my Fahrenheit 451 course, which has got a lot of stuff in it. So if you want to follow along, just be in your course that you're working on in Rutgers. Make sure you're working on the red nav bar. And I'm going to go back into modules. And here I'm going to show you my first module right here, which is for the first week in my course. And remember, these icons are telling me and the students what each one of these pieces is currently. So discussion, you've seen before. That's the bubble. Assignment is the A+. I don't have a lot of quizzes in this course, but if I did, it would show up. Anybody know what it looks like? What does the quiz one look like?
Q.
It's a Q. It's a Q with a circle around it. All right, this is a page. Pages in Canvas are just a way for you to deliver information. All right, students don't interact with them. You can allow them to if you want. If you wanted it to be an interactive kind of wiki page, that is a setting. But most time pages really are just to deliver content. They don't have a due date. So it's just, if you need to give a lecture or if you're presenting content, I would normally use the page for that. So.
Where are you viewing this page?
Where am I right now?
Yes,
I'm in my course.
You can't see it.
You can create it. You'll be able to create a page.
No, I understand that. But I do recall in the sandbox that I had.
Did you make a page?
Yeah.
Because you were advanced on Friday.
Yeah. I've made a page and some questions, of course.
Okay. So you have a page somewhere. It's not in your module yet, maybe.
This is actually in your module?
This is in my module. Yep. In my Fahrenheit 451
so this
course.
Is your module.
This is my modules.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is what the students will see.
This is what the students would see.
Okay, that's,
Yes.
I'm not confused.
Okay.
Thank
You're
you.
unconfused. All right. Good. All right. So this, what you're looking at right here, is living on my modules page. So if my students came into this course and they clicked on modules, they wouldn't see this top module. Why not?
It's hidden.
How do you know it's hidden?
For instructors' eyes.
Okay, and what's my
It's
other?
not public.
It's not published. It's gray cloud, right? So that first module, my students wouldn't see. That one is unpublished. We know it's unpublished because it has the gray cloud, right? But all of these other modules, units in my course, this is what my students would see. So if my students were ready to get started on my Fahrenheit 451 course and they came in week 1, raring to go, the very first thing I would want them to click on is this. So this is a page. This is just information for my students. This is an introduction to what's going to happen. You see, this is a page, so when you build a page, you get that rich content editor. You can put anything in it. You can link to other files. You can put URLs. I have a link to my syllabus in here. And I do let my students know that we're going to use the modules section to navigate through the course. Once my students see this, they're going to get that next button so they can just be like, all right, great. Steve just gave me all the information I need. Now I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next thing in my course, which is this discussion. So the students, once they enter a module, they will get those previous and next buttons. Couple of things within here. So my syllabus is in my course, and I have uploaded it as a file. We talked about files on Friday. I am able to click on this preview the document button. This is probably something you're going to want your students to know. that anywhere they see this little magnifying glass, they can click on that. They're going to see a panda on a unicycle for a second. And what the panda is doing is it's going to allow that document to be previewed right within the page without having them download it. Okay, so that's another reason why you might want to use your file space and upload your files into your file space, because then you don't have to send the students outside. This is really good for students who are working on mobile. They'll be able to preview it, and they won't have to download. And we do know that you probably have a lot of students who are working on a mobile device. Okay, so what else can you put in a page? Well, almost anything. Pages is also how you can add a new page. You can embed things on a page anywhere where you can grab HTML. So in addition to being able to build a page using your rich content editor, you also have this HTML editor over here. So if you do things like iframing, okay, or you grab embed code from somewhere where you're building things, this is where you're going to put it in. A lot of times when I use a Google Doc, I will embed the Google Doc into a page, into Canvas. So I'm going to go into my Google Docs and show you how to do that. So let's say I wanted to, it's actually something I shared with you guys. So if I wanted to embed this Google Doc into that page, I don't want to have to give my students a link. Instead, I want them just to be able to see it and render right there. I'm going to click that I want this to be published to the web. And Google is going to give me the embed code. The really nice thing about that is that, see this button right here, automatically republish when changes are made? Now I can make changes to this Google Doc, and I don't need to worry about fixing it in Canvas, okay? Because I'm going to embed this doc right into that page, and every time it's updated, it's going to be updated there. So it's going to make my life super easy. So if I grab that embed code, and I just need to, I'm working in the HTML editor, I'm going to go ahead and paste it. Now, it's going to make it a little bit small, so let's, that's not how I want it to look. So I'm going to edit it. And now I'm going to be able to just change the size. So I'm going to play around with the width and the height. I'm going to leave this at 0. And that'll make it full size. I lied. That's not true. Normally that works. Okay, so now my Google Doc is embedded here on my Canvas page, and then if I make any changes to this document in my Google Drive, it will just automatically be here. Again, this is really nice for students who are working on mobile. They don't have to click on another link. They just open up my page and they're going to be able to see it. So any website that gives you an embed code, you're going to be able to embed it on a page in Canvas. Questions about this so far? Do you have anybody who I lost along the way? Okay. All right. So that's one of the things you can do with a page. Go back. Now, what I always found as an online instructor was I created all of this great information, and it was really, really important. Like, you know, here is the introduction to my course, and students would skip that, right? Because they're like, well, this doesn't have a due date, so I'm just going to skip it, and I'm going to go right to the next thing. And then somewhere down the line, I would say, well, didn't you read the introduction to the course and it had the syllabus on it? And they would say, no, there wasn't anything due. I'm gonna skip to what you have to have me submit, right? That's what was that. My students the only ones who did that, or okay, all right, okay. So when we're talking about sequencing content, that's where these requirements for the modules come in. So I showed this on Friday, but now that might make a little bit more sense. So in this module, I don't want my students to go on until they look at the week 1, day 1 introduction to the course. So I'm going to say students have to complete that requirement, and I want them to move through that in sequential order. So now my students can't go on in my course until they view this item. So even though it doesn't have something due, right, it's not something they have to submit, my content, if I'm putting it in my course, is important. And I definitely want them to see it and not skip over it. So if I add that on there, my students are not going to be able to do any of the other stuff in this course until they view this. They will know that because in their modules list, it's going to tell them that this is their requirement they have to view. And if they try to skip it and go to this, it's going to say, sorry, your instructor has set this up so that you have to do this ahead of time, and it's going to give them a link to that page right there. So that is how we can make sure we sequence our courses and we make sure that our students are seeing exactly what it is we want them to see. All right, the other things that you can add into a course. So one I just showed you was a page. The other thing that you can, there's 2 other things you can do. So let me go to a clean course. When you click on that plus button for a module, you're going to get the whole list of everything you can add. So we've talked about assignments and quizzes and content pages and discussions. You can also add a link to an external URL. So if you have a page that you want them to see, and it doesn't live in Canvas, it's a website, you can add a URL to that right there and then tell it the page name. So does anyone have a website like that where you would say, I want you to go here? Does anyone have an example? I have a hard time usually with this coming up with an example.
Like a library
Okay.
document that I want them to read that's on our new library.
That's online?
Yes.
So you could pull the URL and you could post it right there?
Yes, they'll have to log in, but it doesn't just automatically occur once you have the
Sure.
URL.
Yep, so you could put the URL in there and just say the page name, and then you're able to add that into your course.
They have to load
Yeah,
it up.
I noticed.
Right.
And there's an option to load in a new tab.
Yes.
Canvas doesn't automatically, when you click on a URL, go to a new tab.
Most times it will go to a new tab, or most times, unless it's a secure website, it's not going to keep it right on the same page. It'll say we have to open it in a new tab. So if you just want to make sure that it does all the time, just click on load in a new tab. Most times it will anyway, unless it's a secure website. Because Canvas doesn't like playing with things that could damage it. Alright, the other things you can add are any of those files that you have uploaded into your course. So you can add a file right there, something that you want to see. So I know, like Michelle, you said you have tons of articles.
Yeah.
So you could just, if you had those articles uploaded into your course, you could put that right into the flow of your module. So you could put the file right there for the students to view. You can send students to, that was an external tool. Oops. Okay, so any of the tools that you have uploaded into your environment are going to show up here. Now, you were talking about VoiceThread. Okay, so once you have VoiceThread integrated, you could actually add that external tool, and it could be VoiceThread, and you could send the students right to VoiceThread or any of those other external tools that you guys have in your environment. This is also where you would do things like add text headers. So I talked a little bit about on Friday the text headers and how they break up the module. So this one here, Monday, and it has hearts around it because we all love Monday a lot, right? That's just a text header. It's just to break up a module. So if you have a really long module, you can put those headers in. And those, again, work great for students who are working on mobile. It's a good way for them to be able to see where the different sections of your module are happening and to organize themselves.
Can you show us how to have it in there?
Sure, the hearts. or the text header.
It's text header.
Alright, so to add a text header, it's going to be in your drop down for your module, and it's right here, text header. You can call it whatever you'd like. It's going to be in the drop down for the module.
Okay, that's the blue module button.
The plus button next to your module. So here's my module, and it's Unit 1 Course Introduction. See, this is my module, and that button right there. Okay.
Okay, so you're actually on the item.
I'm on the module. Yep. And then it's going to say, all right, Aaron, which one of these things do you want to add to this module? You can add any of those things, and I would say, I'd like to add a text header. I'm going to call this one Tuesday. Right? No, I'll help. I'm going to give you some hands-on time, and then we can. Now, remember, one of the only things we can do to make Canvas fun and pretty, and I'm not bitter about that, is to add those Unicode characters to text headers. Basically, that's about it. So if you want to do that, you just go to one of those Unicode websites. They will show up for students on mobile. They will show up for students who are working on a desktop. And once you find the character that you like, you're able to just copy it and you can paste it then into your text header. So if my Tuesday I wanted to have an umbrella, I just copy, paste that in there.
Okay, the text header will appear only at the top of the lecture.
Nope, it can be anywhere you want it in your module. So once you have things in your module, you see these 6 dots or 8 dots that are showing up on the left-hand side? Put your glasses on. You can see them.
Yes, ma'am.
That's going to enable you to move it around.
Could you control plus?
Sure. It's too small,
There,
too big.
there you go.
So these dots are letting you know that this is movable anywhere in your module, or even into another module. So you're able to move things around. You can even move your modules around. So if you are like, all right, that really should be first, you're able to click and drag.
Okay, isn't the text header free in the first place, though? When you go to create your item, you have to name it.
Yes, so the text, you're right. So you do have to name everything that you put into Canvas, but a text header would be like an additional kind of breaking point in your module. It's just like if you want to break up your module. So if you're realizing that you're creating your module and it's very long, and you wanted to just, let me show you my Fahrenheit course how I use it. So in this course, it's a week. My modules in this course are weeks. So I've used text headers to delineate the days for the students. So this is the text header Monday, and these are all the things that the students need to do.
Click on the text header for Monday.
There's nothing. It's just information. It's just text.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're internal module.
Yes, they're
items.
internal tags within your module.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Denise?
And another example where you might use it, because I set it up in my sample course, is for a hybrid. I have a header for online with all the elements indented underneath,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a header for in class with all the elements underneath.
Great.
If you have a face-to-face web enhanced, you could have in class with all the elements, and then you could have post-class assignments.
Sure.
Underneath.
Yeah, so you can use that just to point students to what it is they need to find. And, Denise is talking about indenting, and you're seeing that too here in my module. So I have my text header all the way left justified, and then I have indented all of my elements one level. You can control that using the gear. You can increase or decrease your indenting, and I think you can increase up to, I think you can do 4 levels. Okay, so that's another way that you can show content for your students. It's important for me to note that indentation only shows up for students who are not on mobile. So mobile users won't see that indenting. They will see the text headers. If they're working on a laptop or a desktop computer, they will see that indenting in your modules. I went to this Unicode website and I found the one I wanted to use and I copied it.
Or just copying the
Yeah, just copy it,
actual picture.
the actual picture, and it'll let you paste it in. Okay. Alright. In your module that you have so far working, I'm going to give you some time to add 3 things. A page, and you can play around with embedding content onto the page, right? So you could embed HTML content. Also add a file and a link to an external URL. So then we should have a pretty nice looking module. We should have a bunch of stuff in there. Because we have an assignment, we have a discussion, and we have a quiz. Go ahead and let's spend some time adding a page to your module, a file, and a link to an external URL.